was 20 years old when the letter came in the mail that changed my life. It was also the biggest choice I'd ever faced in my life. At the time, I was less than 2 months away from leaving on a mission for my church. I'd broken up with my boyfriend, Ben, 8 months previously. Despite trying very hard to move on, I was still very much in love with him. We'd been talking here and there, and I had sent him a memoir-type book that I had written about the summer after we'd broken up. That fateful day, the letter came in the mail with his handwriting on it. I still remember the way my heart sped up when I saw it. I opened the letter and the contents were almost too much for me to take in. In the letter, Ben told me that he still loved me too. He told me that he wanted to marry me, that he felt ready to get married, and that if I still wanted to go on my mission, that he would wait for me. It was a dream come true, a dream that I honestly didn't think would ever happen. But now I was faced with a choice. Stay home and marry the man of my dreams, or go on a mission that I had been called to go on. I prayed more then than I ever had in my life. I went to the temple to ponder, I fasted, I prayed, I talked to the people around me that I respected the most, and I honestly felt like there wasn't a correct decision. Ultimately, I felt that God was telling me that He was happy with either choice. In the end, I chose to stay home and get married. We actually had our first child the same month that I would have gotten home from my mission if I had gone. 8 years and almost 4 kids later, it is still the best decision I've ever made. In our novels, our characters face a lot of decisions. Most of them are fairly minor. We always want our characters to be moving proactively towards a goal that they feel really strongly about, and so giving them those choices are really important. There are 3 places in your novel that your character should face a much bigger choice, a choice that will pivot the novel and help your reader to really connect and feel for your character. This first choice comes as they are moving from Act 1 into Act 2. In Act 1, your character, their life is pretty bad, but they're comfortable. Even though they're miserable, they don't want to change still because of human nature. But of course, the catalyst happens, and it happens to them. It is not something that they choose. It's not something that they cause. It is some catastrophic, or at least life-changing, not always bad, life-changing event that happens to them, sometimes out of the blue. This shakes up their world enough that they cannot go back to where they were before. This is really distracting because there's a turkey in our front yard, like a wild turkey. However, we do want our characters to be proactive, and we also want them to be the ones choosing to go on this journey. And so the choice to move from your Act 1 world to your Act 2 world is a really important one for your character and for your reader to be able to feel invested in your character's journey. After the catalyst, they have their beat where they can kind of take a breather and say, oh my gosh, what just happened? And then they have to make a choice. They have to choose to actively move from Act 1 into Act 2. That is the first choice, and it is really important to make sure that you have that choice there, that they are actively moving themselves to the next stage of their journey. The second choice comes at the end of Act 2. All this time, your character has been seeing kind of the opposite of what their character arc is. They see that they meet people who have a good life, or maybe who have a terrible life because they've chosen to go down the path that your character is currently going down. They are introduced to new people that are fundamentally helping them change, but they're still struggling against their internal problem that they just can't quite let go of. And at the end of Act 2 comes the all is lost. And the second choice comes right before the all is lost. The all is lost is kind of the opposite of the catalyst in that it is huge, just like the catalyst, but rather than happening to the main character, this is the main character's fault. If they had just done the right thing, if they had just made the changes that they needed to make, then the all is lost would never happen. It's their rock bottom, to kind of as a wake-up call. But in order for that to be their fault, they need to have a choice right before the all is lost. And the more obvious it is that it's a choice for them, the more the reader is going to say, oh, it was your fault. It was very obviously your fault. You had the chance to fix it. And so before the all is lost, fairly close before the all is lost at the end of Bad Guys Close In, you need to present your main character with the opportunity to make the right choice and have them choose the wrong thing. And if you do that, then when the all is lost happens, that's basically what can cause the all is lost. And when that all is lost happens, then your main character and your reader are both gonna go, made the wrong choice. And if you set up the foreshadowing right, then when they're making the wrong choice, your reader is going to know that something terrible is going to happen because of it. And then the third choice comes in Act 3. And Act 3 is all about proving to the reader that your main character has actually changed. Because after they're all is lost, they're like, oh yeah, hit rock bottom, it was my fault, I better change. And they tell us, basically, that they're going to change. And they know that they need to change. But then in Act 3, they actually have to act on that and do it. So they go along and they're doing their plan, and then the Hightower surprise happens. And the Hightower surprise is like a glitch in their plans. They're enacting this plan because they know what to do now, and then, wow, I did not see that coming, and that messes up our plan. The most important thing about the Hightower surprise, though, is that it should present your main character with a choice. Because this is where they're really going to prove to us that they've changed. Because this choice, at the beginning of the book, if they'd been presented with this choice, they would have picked the other one. But now, because they've changed, they pick the right choice. And this is really important. It's really important here to tie this choice, this Hightower surprise, with the theme, and to make it a real choice. Because too often in books and movies, I see the Hightower surprise and it falls flat for me. And it's because they either don't tie it with the theme, and so then I'm like, well, why should I even care about this? It's supposed to be this really powerful moment, but it's actually not, because it has nothing to do with their character arc. Or they give them a choice where it's like, well, the answer's obvious. Do I let all these people die, or do I sacrifice myself? And it's like, well, of course they're going to sacrifice themselves. And that's maybe not the best example, but it has to be a real choice here. One where, as a reader, you could almost understand your main character choosing the other one, even though you don't want them to, because you know it's the wrong choice and it goes against their character arc growth and all of that. It's justifiable, and it maybe almost even has some good points to it, but it's obviously the wrong choice still. But you could still see them making it. If you can pull that off, then your reader is going to walk away from your book really feeling the character arc growth inside of them. They're going to know that your character changed, and it is going to be a very powerful moment at the end of your book, which will just leave your reader feeling really good. So those are the 3 most important choices that your character should make throughout your novel. I would love to hear in the comments below what your favorite Hightower surprise character choice is, if you can think of one. My favorite actually comes from Way of Kings over here. Kaladin's choice there is just mind-blowing and is absolutely so hard, but also just makes me cry every single time. So that's probably my favorite Hightower surprise character arc choice. And I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. Or if you want to add anything, like if there are other choices that you feel are important for your character to make throughout the novel, let me know in the comments below. We can talk more about writing and books. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for lots of reading and writing content. If you want to follow my reading journey, you can check out my Goodreads. I do leave a review for every book that I read there. And you can also check out my Instagram, where I share my favorite books as well as my writing journey. Thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you in the next one.